2 years ago, most people believed they needed about $1 million to retire. Then that number moved to around $1.26 million. Now in 2026, the latest data suggests something interesting. The average American believes they need $1.46 million to retire comfortably. That's a $200,000 jump in just 1 year. So naturally, a question comes up. Are you behind, or is the number itself misleading? Because here's the part most people don't realize. That 1.46 million number is not a rule, it's not a requirement, and it's definitely not personalized. It's just a perception. And perception is heavily influenced by inflation, rising costs, and fear. So instead of asking, do I have 146 million, the better question is, what income do I actually need to replace? Because retirement is not about hitting a number. It's about replacing your income in a sustainable way. Let's break that down simply. Most people don't need 100% of their current income in retirement. Why? Because certain expenses disappear. You're not saving for retirement anymore. You may not have a mortgage. Work-related costs go away. So generally, people need around 70 to 80% of their current income to maintain the same lifestyle. Now let's make this real. Now there's something important you need to understand once you've calculated your number. Because most people stop here. They think the moment they find their retirement number, the problem is solved. But in reality, that number is only the starting point. Because life doesn't follow a fixed equation. It follows changing conditions. Let's take a simple example. Two people both calculate that they need $1 million for retirement. On paper, they look the same. But in reality, their outcomes can be completely different. One person has a paid-off house, no debt, and modest lifestyle needs. The other still has a mortgage, higher healthcare risk, and plans to travel frequently. Same number, completely different reality. That's why the real mistake is not miscalculating your number. The real mistake is assuming your number stays fixed forever. Because it doesn't. It moves based on three things: your expenses, your income sources, and your life decisions. Now, let's go deeper into something most people ignore. Even when your retirement math is correct, the timing of risk matters. For example, if you retire right before a market downturn, your portfolio behaves very differently than if you retire during a strong market. This is called sequence risk. But let's keep it simple. Imagine two people both retire with $1 million. One retires in a strong market and their portfolio grows before withdrawals start. The other retires just before a market drop and is forced to withdraw while values are falling. Same number. Completely different outcome over time. This is why retirement is not just about how much you have. It's also about when you start using it. And this is where flexibility becomes more important than perfection. Now let's connect this back to your actual decision. Once you know your number, you essentially have three levers you can control. You can increase savings, you can reduce expenses, or you can adjust timing. Most people only focus on the first one: earn more, save more. But in reality, the most powerful lever is often the second one: reducing required income. Because every dollar you don't need in retirement is like adding capital without investing anything. Let's make that real. If your required retirement income drops from $60,000 to $50,000, your entire financial target changes dramatically. Using the same logic we discussed earlier, that reduction alone can lower your required portfolio by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not because you earned more, but because your system became simpler. Now, there's another important layer here. And this is where most retirement advice becomes misleading. People assume retirement planning is about reaching a final destination. But in reality, it's about building a system that adapts over time. Because your expenses won't stay constant. Healthcare costs may rise, your lifestyle may change, your housing situation may shift. Even inflation alone guarantees that your assumptions today will not match reality 10 or 15 years from now. So instead of locking yourself into one fixed number, the smarter approach is to think in ranges. For example, instead of saying, I need exactly $1 million, you think in terms of, I need somewhere between $900,000 and $1.1 million depending on conditions. This reduces pressure, and more importantly, it makes your plan flexible instead of fragile. Now let's bring this into something practical. If you're watching this and trying to evaluate yourself, here's the simplest way to think about it. If your savings are significantly below your required number, your job is not to panic. Your job is to extend your earning window. That could mean working a few extra years, or increasing your contribution rate gradually, or focusing on reducing lifestyle costs so your target number shrinks. If you are close to your number, your focus shifts. You stop chasing aggressive growth and start focusing on stability. You protect what you've built. And if you are already above your number, your decision becomes less about accumulation and more about transition. When and how to shift from earning to withdrawing. But in every case, the framework stays the same. You are always balancing three variables: income, expenses, and time. Now let's zoom out for a moment, because this is where the psychology becomes important. Most people don't fail at retirement planning because of math. They fail because of uncertainty. The idea of not knowing exactly how much is enough creates hesitation. So they delay decisions. They oversave without direction. Or they rely on vague benchmarks like 1.5 million is safe. But safety is not a number. Safety is alignment between your money, your lifestyle, and your timeline. When those three are in sync, the exact number matters less. Now let's bring everything together. The 1.46 million figure you see everywhere is not wrong, but it is incomplete because it assumes an average life, average expenses, and average behavior. But your life is not average. Your expenses are not fixed, and your decisions are not identical to everyone else. That's why the real goal is not to chase a universal number. The real goal is to build your own calculation, one that adjusts as your life changes. So if there's one takeaway from all of this, it's simple. Stop thinking of retirement as a finish line. Start thinking of it as a financial system you gradually move into. Because once your system is clear, the fear disappears. And what replaces it is clarity. You no longer ask, will I have enough someday? You start asking, what do I need to adjust today to stay on track? And that shift is what actually separates confusion from financial control. I am Robert, signing off. I'll see you in the next video with something even more useful.